Hello and welcome to the video by TrumpExcel. I'm Sumit Bansal, and in this video I'm going to show you how to combine multiple Excel workbooks in a folder using Power Query. So here I have a folder with the name sales data, and I have multiple Excel files in it. I have East data, North data, South data, West data, and I have other data types including the CSV files and the text files. Now, if I want to combine all the Excel files in this folder, I'll go back to the workbook, and here I would go to the data tab, click on get data from file from folder. Now here I would have to specify the folder path, so I would click on browse, select sales data, click OK, and then click OK. This opens the preview window where I can see all these files, and because I only want to combine Excel files, I would click on edit so that I can filter these. So I would click on edit. It opens the query editor and it shows me the file data in the query editor. Now the first step I want to do is I want to filter these based on the extension. So I would come here, go to text filters, begins with, and here I would type .xls. I'm doing this because in case I have, let's say, macro enabled files .xlsm or .xlsb or plain .xls files, those would also be considered while combining these files. So now when I click OK, it gives me only the Excel files. Even if you only have Excel files in the folder, it's a good idea to filter this so that in future, if you by mistake or purposefully add a CSV file or a text file into it, it would be duly ignored because you have filtered these and this gives you only the Excel files. Now, in this case, we have the content column, and if I click on the binary cell, so if I click on the white space here in the cell, you can see that this cell that has the name binary in it would hold the entire file eastdata.xlsx. Similarly, this one would hold north data. Now, if you're tempted to click on this button, combine files button, because we did it in the previous video when we were combining the CSV files, it is going to give you an error. And the reason for this is, let me first show you why this happens. Let me click on it. So it opens the combine files dialog box here, and it asks me that you have two objects in the workbook East data.xlsx. It's one is a worksheet and one is a table. Which one do you want to combine? So if I select East underscore data table, then Power Query is going to put this data at the top, and then it'll go to the next file, which is north data.xlsx, and it'll look for the same table East underscore data. And because there is no table in this file with this name, it's going to give me an error. So if the file names are consistent, if the sheet names are consistent or the table names are consistent, then you can use this. But in most of the cases, these are not likely to be consistent. So it is going to give me an error. And let me show you how this happens. When I click OK, it'll open the query editor. It'll put the entire data for eastdata.xlsx. But when the file for East data is over, when the data is over and it moves to the next file, it gives me an error here because it cannot find the key, which is East underscore table. So let me delete these steps and show you the right way of doing it. So I'm back to the step where I have filtered these records based on whether it's Excel or not. Now, what I'm going to do is, this holds the entire file. So I'm going to use a formula and extract the names of the objects in a separate column. So to do that, first, let me select these two columns, right click and remove all other columns. So I just have these two. Now I would go to add column, custom column here, and I'm going to use a formula. Let's call this column tables, and the formula here would be Excel dot workbook, and within parentheses I would use content. Now content is the name of the column. Whatever is the name of the column, you need to use that, and instead of typing it, you can simply double click on it and it inserts it here. Also be sure that Power Query formulas are case sensitive, so if you type this in the lowercase or uppercase, something that is not similar to what's shown here, then you will get an error. Now see what happens when I click OK. It inserts a new column with the name tables, and each of these cells has a table. And if I click on each of these cells, see what it gives me. We have created a formula to fetch the a table from this file, fetch the object list from this file, which was East data, and this table gives me a list of those objects. So there are two objects, one is a sheet kind and one is a table kind. Similarly, if I come here, there are two objects, sheet kind and table kind. So I can simply come here and expand this. Let me first get rid of binary because I don't need this one. Now when I expand the table, it'll give me all these columns. I'm fine with it, but I don't want to use the original column name as prefix. So I uncheck this, click OK, and it gives me all these data points. So it tells me that the first object in East data.xlsx is a sheet type and the second object is a table type. Now, because I only want to combine tables, I'm going to filter this and I would say only give me tables here. So now I have all the tables in all the 4 files and I can now combine these tables. So I can get rid of all the columns that I don't need here. So I can keep this column here and I can keep this column here. You can see this double pointed arrow here, which tells me that I can combine these tables. So I only need these 2 columns. I would right click, go to remove other columns. And now I have the name of the file. I need this because I want to know which region the record belongs to. And now when I click on this double pointed arrow, see what happens. It gives me all these column names and I click OK. Make sure this is unchecked, otherwise it will unnecessarily add data to as a prefix to your column names. Now when I click OK, it gives me all the data along with the region name here in this format. Now this is the right data. You can see it says 999 plus rows, so it has combined the entire data set. The simple thing that I want to change here is I want this to be East and not East underscore data. So I would right click on this, go to replace values, replace underscore data with nothing so that it becomes East, West, North and South. And I can also rename this to region. Also, I want the date to be the first column, so I can drag and put this after sales rep. Now, when you combine data or in general, whenever you're working with Power Query, it is always a good idea to check the data types. So if I come here and I go to transform, you can see the data type is any. Any means that in case there is text in between these records, it would allow it. But if I change this to a date column, then anything that is not a date would be converted into an error and I can get rid of it. So here I would come here and click on date. It's also a good idea to use locale settings to change the date based on where the data is originated from. In my case, since I've used the Excel files, I don't need it. But in case you're working with CSV files or text files, it's a good idea to change using locale. In item, it's again any. I would change this to text. Sales rep would be text again. A region is text already. Quantity would be whole number. Price would be whole number, and commission I can keep it as percentage or I can keep it as a decimal. Now my data is in the right shape. I can also come here and I can remove errors. So I can click on this option, remove errors. So in case there were any text data points here and they were not date type, then they would be removed. And now I can go to home and close and load. And this would insert a new worksheet and put the entire data set in an Excel table into my workbook. So you can see it says 1403 rows loaded. Now if I go back and I add a new data point, a new file in this folder, let's say I have this Midwest data file, and if I add this file here and I go back to my Power Query result, I can simply refresh it and it would update to give you the new record. So if I right click here, go to refresh, see what happens. From 1403 it becomes 1844 records, because now the Midwest data has also been added here. Also, in case you have it within a subfolder, Power Query can go within the subfolder and fetch the data as well. So let's say, for example, if I create a subfolder and I simply create a copy of, let's say, North data and put it here, let's call it Northwest data, and I go back to Power Query and I refresh it, let's see what happens. It gives me 2206 record, because even when within a subfolder, Power Query has a recursion. It'll go in the main folder and it'll go in all the subfolders. No matter how many layers of subfolders you have, it'll go into each of those subfolders, check if there is an Excel file or not, fetch the Excel file, combine it, and give you the final result. So this is how you can combine multiple Excel files, Excel workbooks into one consolidated table using Power Query. That's it in this video. I hope you found this useful. Thank you and have a nice day.